Opening day is here and the Red Sox roster is officially set. These are the final moves. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin and baseball is back, ladies and gentlemen. The Red Sox play the first game of the 2025 season today, 4 p.m. Eastern time, and guess what? We're celebrating it all day right here on this channel, starting with this video. Then at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be live for members previewing today's matchup, and then at 3:30, we are going live right here on this channel for everybody. We're watching the game together, reacting in real time. We're also going to have a ton of really great giveaways all throughout the stream today, so it's going to be a ton of fun. Make sure you guys are there. Again, members only 1:30, public 3:30 right here on this channel. But before we do that, we got to start with this video, and that is going over the final touches on the Red Sox 26-man roster, starting with the bench. Yesterday, it was announced that Nick Sogard was going to be optioned down to AAA baseball, which officially kind of cements the bench as David Hamilton, Rob Refsnyder, Romy Gonzalez, who was really the big question, right? We didn't know if Romy Gonzalez was going to be made available for opening day because of a tiny oblique thing he'd been dealing with in spring training. Looks like he is good to go. And finally, Carlos Narvaez. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little bit upset about Nick Sogard not making the big league team. I mean, I understand it. Romy Gonzalez makes a lot of sense right now, especially when you consider the fact that he has more first base experience in the major league level, which I think is ultimately the biggest factor here. The Red Sox don't have a ton of first baseman depth. Romy Gonzalez is your first baseman depth right now, so it makes sense that if he's healthy, he's gonna be on this big league club. But I really like Nick Sogard. I think he can be a legitimately valuable weapon for the Boston Red Sox. He can play anywhere on the field, including first base a little bit, and he can hit from both sides of the plate. Now, this spring started out really well for Nick. It kind of tapered off towards the end. It ended up being a pretty solid spring overall. It was a .250 average with a .339 on base percentage and a .442 slug for a .781 OPS. He also had 2 home runs and 4 doubles this spring. So that bat is there, right? We saw it at the major league level a bit last year. He didn't do anything super crazy at the big league level, but the average was pretty solid. There just wasn't a ton of power. There could be things that I think the Red Sox want him to work on in AAA that ultimately led to this decision. I think the biggest one is just getting more comfortable at that first base spot, right? Again, you talk about Romy Gonzalez being so vital for this team right now because he's your depth at first base. Nick Sogard, if he can get to a point where he can do that as well, this conversation becomes extremely interesting. Not that he can't do it already. I just think they want to get him more experience. So I'm expecting to see him a lot at first base this season. But either way, I'm really high on Nick Sogard. I would have loved to have seen him crack this opening day roster. We made a full video about this idea just because I think he really can be an incredibly beneficial player to this Red Sox team. Apparently, it's just not yet. We'll see. I think at some point he does end up on the big league roster. I'm really excited for who Nick Sogard can be, though. Another thing the Red Sox finalized up coming into today was the bullpen. Brandon Bernardino officially won that last bullpen spot, and I actually really like this move for 3 different reasons. One, I do think Brandon Bernardino earned this spot in the bullpen with what he did this spring training, right? We saw what he could be at the major league level before everything kind of fell apart last year. This spring, it looked like he was closer to what he was at the beginning of the year than he was at the end of the year last year. Looking at the numbers, it was 3 earned runs in 8 2/3 innings. 2 of those earned runs coming in his last appearance. Before that, it was just 1 earned run in 6 appearances. The swing and miss looked absolutely fantastic this spring. 12 strikeouts in those 8-ish innings. He did have a pretty decent amount of walks, 5 in those 8-ish innings. Something to pay attention to. I'm not overly concerned with a player's walks during spring training, mostly because a lot of what they're doing is trying to adjust to different pitches. And that's exactly what Brandon Bernardino did this year. He was tasked this offseason with, hey, you might need to retool your arsenal a little bit for you to be a truly effective pitcher in Major League Baseball. Well, he came in, he worked with Driveline, really worked on shaping up his pitches a bit, and came into camp with a brand new changeup, and it's getting a whole lot of swing and miss. So I love the fact that Bernardino continues to evolve as needed in this bullpen role and continues to just simply do what needs to be done to get onto this team. The second reason I really like this is because this final spot was down to Cooper Criswell and Brandon Bernardino, and I love the idea about putting Cooper Criswell in AAA. Not because I think he deserves to be in AAA and not on the Major League roster, but because what it provides the Red Sox, which is valuable emergency starter depth. Right now, the Red Sox already have 3 starters on the IL, right? You're already dipping into that built-up depth that you've created over the course of the offseason. Heaven forbid something else happens. Cooper Criswell could be the difference between you being able to continue utilizing a full rotation and you having to go to a bullpen game early on in the season. And I don't think anyone wants to see that. Regardless of how long Giolito and Bayo are out, having at least one person, I guess you could put Quinn Priester into there too, but it really feels like the Red Sox believe there's still some retooling left to do with Quinn Priester. Cooper Criswell's kind of that, hey, we're going to let you sort of survive in AAA for a bit, and when we need you, we're going to bring you back up. So I really like the fact that Cooper Criswell now becomes your, 6th starter basically off the roster, but with the team kind of, I don't know, you guys know what I'm trying to say here. And 3, the other reason I like this is because it gives you an opportunity to potentially hold on to Sean Newcomb when these guys get healthy, because that's sort of the big thing, right? We know Sean Newcomb is in this rotation. We also know that the only way that you're going to be able to add Giolito and Bayo to this rotation once healthy, if you don't have a spot for Newcomb in the bullpen, is to DFA him. Now, with Bernardino in the bullpen, you can kind of decide. You can make a decision, right? You could say, okay, Bernardino, he's all right. The results aren't there that we want to see. We can option him down to AAA, hold on to him and Sean Newcomb without disrupting the balance of the bullpen. You could still have 3 lefties in there while still keeping on to Newcomb and Bernardino. So I really, really like the fact that Bernie got this spot. Plus, on top of it too, he got absolutely robbed last year. If you remember that, it was decided that Bernardino was going to start in AAA and Joely Rodriguez was getting the call to Major League Baseball, and that immediately did not work out very well. He got snubbed last year, so I'm glad he's getting his chance this year. We'll kind of see how it ends up, but again, I like this for a whole lot of different reasons. Alex Cora also announced yesterday that Rafael Devers will be taking on the full-time DH role. As a surprise to absolutely nobody, right? I mean, this was being hinted at the entire offseason, basically, at least spring training-wise. He didn't even get a single game at third base. We'll see how this goes, right? Again, we talked about it in yesterday's video a little bit, right? The biggest question surrounding the Boston Red Sox. Rafael Devers being a DH is going to be interesting. It's not just as simple as this guy's a good hitter, he's going to be a great DH. There's a mentality that comes with being a DH, and that's going to take some adjusting for Rafi. My original thought was he wasn't going to be a full-time DH. He was going to be like a part-time third baseman, a very minority part-time third baseman. It sounds like from what Alex Cora is saying, he's a full-time DH. So that's a little bit different than what we've been hearing before. Certainly nothing that's coming as a surprise, though. And again, this has been kind of rumored for a while now. With Christian Campbell getting that second base job, it really felt like this was going to be the future. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple of years, not just this year, right? One tidbit I wanted to include in here because I thought it was awesome is Robbie Hyde tweeted out yesterday that when David Ortiz made the full stop at DH, this was his full season at DH, he was 28 and the Red Sox won a World Series. Rafael Devers turning into a full-time DH this year. We'll see what happens. But either way, Rafael Devers is officially the full-time third baseman of the Boston Red Sox, and it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. The Red Sox also announced their opening day IL list, and there's one name that stands out in particular. Everything else is pretty obvious, I think, for the most part. This one kind of surprised a lot of people, and that is that Liam Hendrik is on the 15-day IL to start the season. I don't really know how that ends up. I don't know what that means for the Red Sox. It's right elbow inflammation, which is not exactly fantastic, right? You hate to hear that, especially coming back from Tommy John surgery. I don't know what this means. I don't know how long he's going to be out. Probably a pretty big reason as to why they named Aroldis Chapman the closer outside of just simply better statistics during spring training. But this really, really puts a damper on the Red Sox bullpen coming into opening day. You're going to have guys like Slayton, Kelly, and Whitlock really step it up and be that 8th inning, 9th inning guy that the Red Sox have been looking for. Not exactly what you want to hear coming into opening day for sure. Liam Hendrik on the 15-day IL. Outside of that, not really many super surprising moves here. Christian Campbell, Sean Newcomb being added makes sense. Massa, IL, yep. Brian Bayo, IL, yep. By the way, all of these IL stints are dated back to March 24th, so the earliest Bayo, Cutter, and Giolito can come back is about the second week of April. We should probably see Bayo and Giolito back around that time. Cutter appears to be a little bit behind. The only two people added to the 60-day IL were Chris Murphy and Zach Penrod. We'll see if there are any sort of corresponding moves with this Liam Hendrik stuff or if Cooper Criswell just sort of takes that role. So forget what I said earlier when we were talking about Brendan Bernardino. Cooper Criswell is going to be on the Major League team because of this injury to Liam Hendriks. Again, we'll see kind of how it goes. Cooper Criswell's obviously not going to take over any sort of late inning role. So again, it goes back to the Zach Kellys of the world, the Justin Slayton and the Garrett Whitlocks of the world to really pick up that slack of not having Liam Hendriks. Not entirely a surprise. The other thing I wanted to talk about with the official announcement of the Red Sox 26-man roster is that Roman Anthony did not make the team. If you remember earlier in our video, I believe it was yesterday, I mentioned that there was still no word on where Roman Anthony was going to end up. It is now official that he's going to start the year in AAA. I mean, this was kind of the overwhelming theory to begin with. He had a really, really good spring training. It looks like he's Major League ready. There's just not really anywhere to put him on this Major League club right now with Willier being healthy. The Red Sox are going to have to find room at some point, but like Marcelo Meyer, how long can you keep this guy in AAA before you're just sort of wasting talent down there and not really giving the Red Sox the best chance to win? We'll see what that kind of looks like in his first couple of games at AAA. I don't expect him to be in the minor leagues for very long. My guess is the latest he's up in Major League Baseball is the trade deadline. I would expect, honestly, for him to be up here a little bit earlier, but I did want to give you guys an update on that as well. And on the screen right now is your 26-man roster for the Red Sox starting today, ladies and gentlemen. Cue the duck boat. Opening day is here. The baseball season is back. Games officially matter. But before we get to our grand live stream with a ton of giveaways, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. What do you think of all the cuts the Red Sox made? What do you think about the injury to Liam Hendriks? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. I will see you very, very soon with some real, live Red Sox baseball, and of course, in the red seats.